is one that I think, various people can identify with it in some form or fashion. And it goes like this. Hello, Dr. Cloud. My adult children have told me that I should be okay. Now, I don't even have to read the rest of this thing. When somebody says, you should be okay, and I'm not okay, well, that's sort of like when you call the helpline, your computer's not working, and say, my computer's not working. And the person at the help desk goes, well, here's what I want you to do, hit that button, turn it on. Yeah, I turned it on. Okay, well, open up this application. Yeah, I did that. And okay, now type something. And they go, is it working? And I say, no, it's not working. They go, well, it should work. And well, that doesn't help me. All right. Telling me I should be okay when I'm not the best way to start a conversation. So be careful about doing that to other people. Okay, but I should be okay about being around my ex-husband now that there is a grandchild on the way. Hmm. I guess the presence of the grandchild is going to cure me of not being okay around my ex-husband. There's an assumption. Okay, so but I do, on the other side of this, I do empathize with the kids. They do kind of want the grandchild to have the extended family there. Everybody's got a stake in this. So the ex was psychologically and verbally abusive, and there's been no sign of his changing his attitude or beliefs about me. Of course, I can be friendly and civil when I have to be, when I've had to be, such as weddings, etc. Well, is it hard to be friendly and civil when you don't have to be? That's the first thing I would want to ask myself. However, I believe that it's unhelpful to me to choose to spend any more of my time around him than that. I realize this has implications for my family. Do you have any feedback on this or how to have that conversation with my children? Um, well, first of all, I do empathize with you. When you've had so much pain with somebody and you it sounds like you don't have any reason to believe that there's been any change on their part. Voluntarily walking into situations where that person's going to be there is probably not, top of your list on things you want to do. I would give you, I don't know you and I don't know him. So it's difficult to say, here's what, I think would be good. But I'm going to give you just some thoughts around this because it could be any number of these. Um, First of all, I would try to take this out of the subjective experience of, oh crap, being around him and all that just starts up inside because that subjective experience of being around him equals danger and pain and all of that can globalize. And what that can do is it can kind of get us out of limiting the effect that somebody can have when we do make it objective and limited. For example, being around him, well, that means you got to live with him for the rest of your life, or you have a 1 hour birthday party of the grandchild. Now, so what I really want you to begin to think about is maybe this isn't an either or, all or nothing situation, but maybe this is where you use your good cognitive capacities of of containing it to the reality of what it actually is. Okay. Now, if they're saying, for example, a birthday party, okay, they want you both to come. Well, can you get into your head for transcendent reasons, transcendent meaning a larger, bigger purpose of your grandchild growing up and in their background objects of the world, knowing that, they've got this extended family, right? There's two grandparents and that both of them were there. So can I get in that mindset and then really think about, okay, well, I guess, an hour. I don't really have to, rehash our life with him and this, that, and the other. And the more you can make it objective and the more you can kind of sort of psychologically limit the effect that he's going to have based on that objective analysis, then it opens you up to a lot of possibilities. So one of the conversations I would want to have with your children is to say something like, well, I certainly want to do things that are good I want to do things that are good for my grandchild. And if it's good to have an extended family around, then I'm definitely open to doing that. But here's what I would like to do. I'd like to do it kind of make the decision on an objective individual case by case basis. Like having a birthday party is different than going, oh, the extended family is going to go on vacation for 2 weeks at the beach, and oh, we're all going to stay in one Airbnb. Well, no, I don't think so. Not on that one. But I would go to them and say, I love you. I love the grandchild. Let's just take this on a case by case basis. And I just need to determine how much of it there's a couple of criteria here. How much interaction I'm really going to have, what the kind of interaction it is that I'm going to have with them. But secondly, and this is the most important thing, how vulnerable and public am I making myself in this individual instance to getting into some weirdness with him? Now, if we can limit and contain all of those, then the possibilities become way more than if you just said a rule, either or, all or nothing. Okay. So I would just kind of want the nature of it. Now, the second thing is this. Um, I think it might be just in the way that, let's pretend your kids were not older and married now. Let's pretend they're 12 years old. Well, when people divorce, they still have a relationship as co parents. And what's the healthiest thing to do is that they have a co parenting agreement. Like, this is how we're going to do this. And so, if possible, and maybe with a third party, I don't know. If possible, you may want to talk with him. The kids have asked that there be times when we both come and do this. Like to know your thoughts about that. Like to know how we can do that in a way that we don't get into our stuff and we don't hurt each other, but we can rise above us and be above them or above that and be there for them and maybe have that conversation and set some ground rules. And then the third thing is, just third thing, I don't know how many things I've said, but another thing is to say to your kids, even when I say yes, there may be moments in there where I just, for whatever reason, I have to kind of pull the plug. And if you can accept that, then I'll try. A lot of different ways to have it like this. Okay. Um, a further thing that I would look at in here, though, and this is sort of, I'm going to almost say the opposite of everything I just said. There are situations, I don't know what you went through. Okay. I know I have talked to people that say similar things. And on one side of the spectrum, they were so hurt, so abused, so wounded that just to be around the person triggers PTSD that is real. I mean, that is a diagnosable, like real problem. And we do everything we can in some instances to kind of, sort of quarantine that and not, in the beginning, if a war vet is overcoming PTSD, you know, in in the beginning, you don't send them to a war movie, right? They're going to get flooded and it's going to be too much. They might even go psychotic, not even know where they are. So if you are that wounded by your ex and you're that kind of vulnerability, hopefully, if you're in that situation, you have a counselor and y'all can talk about, but I would not want you exposed to things that would truly create injurious psychological consequences. All right. That's one end of when I've heard things like this, one group of people kind of sort of that applies to, and it's real. And that's where you have to say, I just can't do this. On the other hand, this is where I don't know you, so you have to have some self-reflection here. I have heard other people say, I can't be around that person. And it's kind of a stance that is it's just a stance that with a little effort for a higher reason for them, it's really not true. You could be. you could be with some internal adjustments. And it's partly kind of not finished with the relationship, partly still stuck in the anger of it, all of that. And they're really not at danger. They're are just not done with the conflict. So I'm not, I'm not judging you here. That I don't know where you fall on the spectrum, but it's very possible you can't be around him. And I would respect that. Okay. It's also very possible that sometimes maybe maybe it's possible in time to entertain the idea of maybe I could do this. Maybe this is even a growth step for me. Maybe this is a way of regaining my power that I always gave him to limit my life. And maybe this is a growth step of, you know what, I'm not going to let him have that much power to where I can't be around my grandkids. So I don't know where you are on the spectrum, but those are the kinds of things that I would be thinking about. Another very powerful one is take a wingman, okay? Somebody, a friend that's been very helpful in your recovery or somebody from your divorce recovery group or whatever. Take them to the party with you. Just that psychological safety. It's like a kid having their banky, right? And, I got my buddy here, like a Navy SEAL has a buddy, right? Everybody. So you might want to take somebody into the situation with you because we know that that can really, really help. All righty, that's just some thoughts. Tough situation.